Hi, welcome. I'm Mary and I hook books. I crochet things inspired by books. Usually I crochet while I listen to audiobooks, and this is going to be my July, late June wrap-up. The Halfhero series is a trilogy. I really liked the first book, Child or Children of the Deterrent. It kind of reminded me of The Shape of Water, and then things got progressively bigger and more global with each book. I was not the biggest fan of the ending. I thought it was kind of a trope we've seen before, but I guess it made sense with the story. It's the third book, so I can't tell you a whole lot. It was my least favorite in the series, though, but it did give everybody pretty good endings. It wrapped up things nicely-ish. And in the beginning, one of our superheroes is a monk in Tibet. So I made this cute monk dude. Run by Blake Crouch is obviously one of his earlier works. It's not as refined as some of his newer works, but it is still a really interesting concept. There's an aurora borealis in pretty much all of North America. It's a very weird solar event, and everyone that witnesses it kind of goes nuts. So this family has to escape everyone that saw it because they just went to bed, and then everyone starts going crazy. They run. It's very action-packed. If you are into it's not as good as, but it has kind of the vibes of 28 Days Later, like the fast crazy zombies, and a little bit of Bird Box, where the people who've seen it then want to either kill you or make you one of them. So very quick read, dark, but very, very fast paced, and a really good thriller, like a true sci-fi thriller. And pretty much all of Blake Crouch's books take place in Colorado. Feral is another pandemic, fast zombie type book. It is a little bit like 28 Days Later because the zombies are really fast and scary. And it's a little bit like Manhunt because it only affects the men. So the women are left to figure out how to basically stay alive, for one. And is it worth living if you know that all the men have gone feral? Our main character, Allie, was a senior in high school, and then 3 years later, she's at this outpost. She goes on all the dangerous missions that she can because, typical trauma response, don't bond with anyone, just go out into the world and almost get killed every day-ish. And she makes a discovery that could change everything. And of course, I had to make a little virus. This I just freehanded. It doesn't have a pattern, but it's just a regular round with a couple little of these bubbles. The House Next Door is, again, I feel like it's an early Darcy Coates. It's not quite as tightly refined as some of her later work, but there were definitely some moments that were incredibly creepy. A new woman moves in next door to our main character, and this woman makes dolls for a living, so already kind of a creep factor there. And everyone thinks her house is haunted, which, it's a ghost story, of course it is. But she also has her crazy ex that is out to get her, as well as this haunting, and she just wants to make a friend. So Our main character is a baker, and that is how she introduces herself. So I made a scary red and black cupcake. Dying Wishes is the second in the Haunted Yarn Shop series. Our women are at a dyeing seminar workshop at this woman's farm, and they're going to get to see how the wool goes from the sheep to getting spun to getting dyed, and it's all gonna be so much fun until they're out with the sheep and come across a dead body, which, you know, it's a cozy mystery. That's how it's gotta go. And this was cute. This is not like a 5-star series, but it is just a fun, nice palette cleansing series. And I find the characters just quirky and fun, and they're very strong women, but they're also very feminine, and I really do like that. And they were dyeing wool, so I made a little rainbow sheep. Several People Are Typing is about a man that is supposedly working from home, but he really just hasn't come into the office because he has literally been sucked in to Slack, the computer program, the office group chat. And I mean, his work is better than ever. So, like, and of course, everyone thinks it's just a joke and he's just working from home. There's also other stuff going on and little side chats. So this is so much in such a small package. It's a little bit funny, a little bit sweet, a little bit kind of terrifying, and I really enjoyed it, and definitely do the audiobook because all the performers really are good and they enhance the experience. So Slack is their corporate communications app, and they are working on a dog food campaign. So I made a little paw. The Devil Wears Scrubs is, I think, a semi-autobiographical contemporary romance about a woman starting her first day of residency in, I think it's internal medicine, and she is not the favorite by far. She has an awful coworker. She has several awful coworkers, actually. A couple interesting patients, and there's a surgeon that she kind of hates and kind of loves. So if you like Grey's Anatomy, I think this really would be up your alley. I was not expecting a contemporary romance from Freida McFadden. I thought she only wrote thriller. So this was kind of a fun surprise, honestly. And it takes place in a hospital, so I made this cute little rainbow first aid kit. Bearhead is the second in the Dogs of War series by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is very different from the first book. This is, for one, it's on Mars, and Bear is going through it. She really is. And she, okay, is that a spoiler? She's looking for her friend Bees, and there's this whole thing about collective intelligences and dispersed intelligences, and it is very thought-provoking in a different way than the first one was. There's also a little bit of like Company Town vibes because, I mean, you live at work on a different planet. Where else are you going to spend your money? So that was interesting. I'm really enjoying how Adrian Tchaikovsky is exploring some of these issues with anthropomorphized animal soldiers. And Bear is looking for her friend Bees, so I made a cute little bear in a black and yellow striped dress. Way Station by Clifford D. Simak was a little bit of a disappointment because it was so hyped, but it's very good for classic or golden age sci-fi. I had to remember that it is split into small chunks that can all be read individually instead of an overarching story, because back in the day, if you wanted your sci-fi read, that's kind of how you had to write it. People didn't buy novels as much as they bought the pulpy magazines, and they read the short stories individually. So that is just something I have to accept. I did love the concept of how this interstellar travel works and the aftermath that humans would have to deal with, or whoever manned the way station would have to deal with. I also like the aliens. Some of them were non-humanoid, and I always enjoy that. I love like non-human aliens. And so I made an adorable little mini alien. Spinning in Her Grave is the third in the Haunted Yarn Shop series. I am really trying to do better about finishing series in a timely manner, because I've learned recently that if I don't, sometimes I don't remember what happened in the last book, and if it's not like recapped, I am totally lost. That's not generally how cozies work, but I'm still working on reading things more quickly or finishing series a little bit more quickly. And Spinning in Her Grave, they are having their preserves day. They're in like blackberry or blueberry or something. The name of their town is a fruit, so the preserves day, it makes sense. It's a pun, it's a cozy mystery, just go with it. And someone gets shot with what was supposed to be a blank gun. So they have to investigate. And of course, the whole big old story of the Preservation Day or Preserves Day is the story of a family feud started by a piggy. So, trust me, it makes sense. Cyberiad by Stanisław Lem is very different than the previous things I had read by him. Solaris is a frequent reread of mine because it does kind of help me get to sleep with how slow and contemplative it is. So this is way on the other end of the spectrum. This is a collection of short stories about these two engineers in space, and they get up to very weird, wacky, absurdist adventures. And I originally read this because I googled like what books are like Futurama, and I was gonna do a read like my cat video, and it got scrapped. But Fry, my orange baby, I think you saw him earlier, is named after Fry from Futurama because he has orange hair and he's not that bright. So I wanted to read something that gave me Futurama vibes, and oh my gosh, this did. I had to read it like one story at a time and then walk away from it literally for a couple months because it is absurd. It is also very funny, so major props to the translator because it is really hard sometimes to get humor in a translation right. So if you liked Futurama, this is definitely one to pick up. And because I was like Futurama, I got our little Futurama brain slug. You wanna be in the video, baby? You want it up? You want it up? So, Killing Time is the fourth book in the Time Police series, and I do enjoy Jodie Taylor's time travel adventures. They're always a good palate cleanser. They've always got a little bit of heart, a lot of laughs, some time-bendy history stuff thrown in there. In this one, they are going back to figure out what happened to a train that looks like it literally got lost in time. And Miss Mickey Micklejohn is working on new netting. So they don't use guns. They also usually say fire truck instead of the other word that starts with F and ends with UCK. So it's a little kind of cozy fantasy, cozy sci-fi. Like there's stuff that happens. Like it's not YA for sure. But yeah, oh yes, they don't use guns. So they have kind of like nets that they throw out and then they harden around people. And Miss Micklejohn is trying to create a new like quick hardening net, and it's not going well. But I made a net bag in honor of that. Yeah. And Constance Verity Destroys the Universe is the third book in the Constance Verity trilogy. Again, I'm finishing series, so proud of myself. And I love the friendships in this series. I love like the older, I mean, she's not older, she's like 35. I think she might be 40 by the end of the last book. But I love that we're not following, you know, a 20-something protagonist who somehow knows how to do everything in the world. Constance has the caretaker mantle, and it's a universal thing that just puts her in the right space, so she's always there to save the world. And suddenly, everyone keeps coming to try to kill her because there's been a prophecy that she's actually going to destroy the universe. So yeah, we go from there, and like any grand sci-fantasy adventure, we have to find the key, the magic key. Lastly, Haunted Forest Tour. This was very interesting, like a couple weeks out, and I barely remember it, honestly. But I do remember having some fun. A forest literally just magically appears overnight, not even overnight, just in the middle of the day, just like, and yeah, the first scene's kind of graphic with that, so watch out if you're kind of a squeamish reader. And somehow, like, all the weird creatures kind of stay away from the buses that do tours through this haunted forest. And we're not really sure what's going on, how the haunted forest got there, what it's doing, why it just appeared and then like didn't do anything. And things live there, but they don't seem to really bother anybody else. So, of course, this one adventure has to be the one time things go wrong, or there, you know, wouldn't be very much adventure in the book. And out of this haunted forest come all these monsters. So I made a little monster Frankenstein treat bag. Apparently I either didn't film or didn't hit record for my outro, so Editing Mary, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let me know if you're gonna pick up any of these books. I've really connected lately with a lot of other bookie people, so that's really exciting. Let me know if there's any of these projects that you're gonna pick up. I think some of these turned out really adorable. If you'd like to support me, please like, subscribe, share, all the YouTube things. If you'd like to financially support the Crochet Positivity cause, there is a link to the Buy Me a Coffee site in the description below. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Summer is almost over, but remember to keep drinking your water, get some rest, eat your vegetables, say no to people sometimes. It's very good self-care. And as always, keep your head up, shoulders back, and breathe.